Armageddon began. Christian fantasy story. Chapter 1. A Spark in the East. 2027. The world stood long on the brink of the abyss, but every time stepping back seemed possible. Until spring came. At that moment, when almonds bloom in Galilee, over the desert thundered the first rumbles of the final storm. Everything started suddenly, as always. At dawn, in the first hours of Nisan 14, Israel declared a preemptive strike against Iranian nuclear facilities. 5 invisible fighter jets slipped deep into Iranian territory, unleashing on Iraq's plant in Fordo's underground storage new type cluster bombs developed in collaboration with the USA. The response was immediate. Shahab 5 and Imam Ali missiles flew from the depths of Iranian deserts, overcoming Iron Dome systems. Flaming columns erupted above Tel Aviv, Haifa, and Beersheba. Tens of thousands died. Israel's retaliation was fierce. A war began, with Syria, Lebanon, Iraq joining within 3 days, followed by Turkey. But this was just the first seal. Chapter 2, Fourth Horseman. On 10th day of conflict, unexpected voice sounded. China, having remained in shadow long, issued statement: any attack on allies Islamic Republic Iran will be considered as an assault against interests of Celestial Empire. This was followed by cyber attacks on western banks, communication satellites and infrastructure. Then Russia's turn came. Echoes of war reverberated across globe. The world overturned, borders collapsed, avalanche of refugees poured into Europe, but it was already engulfed by internal rebellions. USA sunk in civil war, hunger riots began in cities. Then came a day that will go down in history as the beginning of the end. A day when not one, but 5 nuclear charges exploded over Damascus, Tehran, Baghdad, Haifa, and Istanbul. Dust rose to the heavens. The sun darkened. On this day in the sky over Jerusalem they saw a sign: blood and smoke and a fiery pillar. The elders on Olivet Mountain said, this is the opening of the 6th seal. Chapter 3. Days of Mourning. A year passed. Then a second. The 3rd year of darkness arrived. Global winter engulfed the earth. People hid in underground shelters, ruins of megacities, feeding on moss, insects and remnants of former civilization. Communities emerged, worshipping the cult of power. People who remembered the names of Christ gathered in caves and basements, praying for forgiveness and the coming of the King. A wanderer roamed among them. His name was Elijah, son of Pesca. He carried an old leather-bound Bible and spoke. The day of great harvest is coming. Be not afraid. For the word is alive, and the word cometh. People gathered around him. He read them from a book of Revelation. And opened the temple of God in heaven, and appeared the ark of his covenant. And there were lightning flashes, voices, thunders, an earthquake, and a great hailstorm. He was speaking. The beast rises from the sea. And soon he who will call himself Messiah shall appear. But do not believe. Only the Lamb, slain from the creation of the world, is worthy to open the book. Chapter 4. Mark. By 2030 on UN ruins a new power, World Government of Unity, was created. It proposed global order solution, universal religion of love and peace seal, digital mark on right hand or forehead. Without it, neither buy nor sell possible. Many thought this salvation path. But Elijah warned. And I saw another beast, and it will make that all, both small and great, rich and poor, should be given a mark. And yet millions accepted. Many out of fear, others due to blindness. But there were also those who left for the desert. They gathered near old temples, in ruined monasteries. Where the bell had not yet fallen silent, /s/s. And a new movement began, the return. People repented, prayed, were healed from the spiritual leprosy. But they were hunted. Hunter mechanics appeared, biomechanical guardians who sent the defiant ones to re-education camps. Chapter 5. Gates of the Abyss. When the third star, Wormwood, fell, many remembered ancient prophecies. Waters became bitter, causing numerous deaths among humans. Nuclear waste poisoned rivers. Sores appeared for which there was no cure. In this hour Elijah disappeared. But among the ruins of Babylon, now called what was left from New York, a new voice appeared. A woman in white. Her name was Miriam, and she carried an infant. She spoke, "Give. The son is ready. His days are near. Soon he will strike down the serpent at its head." Her words reverberated in an echo. And there appeared in heaven a great sign, a woman clothed with the sun. Chapter 6. Battle for Zion. 2033. All humanity gazed in one direction, towards Jerusalem. The ruins of the world slowly converged on the holy city, like unto a last line where the fate would be decided. Antichrist, a man of extraordinary beauty, powerful voice, and inhuman charisma, has already proclaimed himself king of the world and entered into the restored third temple. There he installed his throne where once stood the Ark of the Covenant. Holographic scrolls with his utterances hung on the walls, while music of the new cult blared. People flocked from all over the globe to worship him. But somewhere behind the hills of Judea, in the caves of En-Gedi, were gathered the remaining faithful few. There were elders, children, mothers, soldiers without arms among them. Above them hung fear, but also something more, hope. And so at midnight over Jerusalem it began. The sky split with flashes. The earth shook. Armies stretched from northern borders, thousands of drones, cyborgs, armored mechs. Beast's army advanced. And in reply, clouds appeared. Thunder roared. In the sky, a man in white emerged, his name known only to those whose hearts belonged to the True One. From his mouth sprang forth a sword. Behind him was an army clad in white garments. It was a second coming. But many did not recognize him. For their love grew cold, and their eyes were blinded by the glitter of falsehood. And then a voice was heard like a sound of many waters. Shout, prepare thyself. The bridegroom cometh. And all over the world, in temple ruins, cellars, caves, the faithful raised their heads. Their hearts revived. Chapter 7. The Ascension of the Lamb. When the feet of the Lamb stepped onto Mount of Olives, it split open. Water gushed from beneath the earth, purifying ash and blood. The valleys of Sodom revived once again. Those who had ears heard. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. The Antichrist sought to oppose, called down fire from heaven, showed signs, but nothing could withstand before the face of he who is, was, and is to come. For a moment all earth was frozen. Then the Lamb ascended Mount Zion and sat on the throne of David. The millennial reign has begun. The world has changed, the wolf lay down with the lamb, people have forgotten hatred, the instruments of war were remelted into plows, scientists, philosophers, wise men all bowed before him who is truth. The Lamb ruled with mercy and truth. The peoples were no longer divided by languages, for the Spirit descended as on Pentecost Day. Miriam, woman clothed in sun, became mother of living ones. And upon Elijah being taken up into a cloud, was fulfilled last mystery of prophets. Chapter 8. The Court at the Great White Throne. But at the end of a millennium, when generations were born on earth who had never known sorrow, the enemy was let go for a short time. People began to forget. Love became habitual, faith turned into form. And then Satan was loosed, and again rose up against the Lamb. He deceived the nations, gathering them as the sand of the sea. But there was not a battle. Fire came down from heaven and consumed them. And beasts and false prophet were cast into lake of fire, where weeping and gnashing teeth are forever. The judgment has come down. Before the great white throne, all stood, from kings to beggars, from martyrs to persecutors. The books were opened. And everyone was judged according to his deeds. But there was another book, the book of life /S/S. And those whose names were in it heard. Come, blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom. And to those who rejected truth was said, I never knew you. And great silence came down. The universe held its breath. Chapter 9. New Jerusalem. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. I saw a city, holy, descending from heaven from God. Its walls were of jasper, its streets pure gold, as transparent glass. There was neither mourning nor death nor pain. And in the middle is a river of life. On either side are trees of life bearing fruit every month. And the face of the Lamb is shining like the sun at noon. There were no more temples because the Lord Himself was a temple. Light is not from the sun but from God's glory. And there was a voice. Behold, the tabernacle of God is among men, and He will dwell with them. And so it was. Forever and ever. Amen.